Oh boy, today's been a hell of a day in Florida. There's a tremendous battle going on, and it's amazing to watch such brazen deceit from the new Speaker of the House. You're going to see it. You're going to see a video of the new Speaker of the House, Danny Penny, not Danny Penny, goodness, Danny Perez. You're also going to see Governor Ron DeSantis talking about how the Florida legislature, especially guys like the ones locally, State Representative Griff Griffitts, State Senator Trumbull, how they voted to weaken Florida's immigration laws, illegal immigration laws. You're going to hear DeSantis lay it out. And the new Speaker of the House, he went on Twitter, I'm going to show it to you, and outright lied. And they're calling it like the Trump immigration bill. I do not be surprised if President Trump himself doesn't slap this guy down and say, get my name out of your effing mouth. I'm telling you, it's incredible. Before we start, I want to remind you of something. Because some of you have taken advantage of it, and it helps me a lot, and it helps you as well get a hold of me and get my undivided attention. If you would like to get talk to me to where I am focused for 30 minutes or an hour with you, I thought I had this thing queued up to show it to you. You can do that. I don't know if I have it to show it to you, though. It's at Calendly. You're not going to see it. Calendly.com/Bernie Thompson. But I will say, if you get a free subscription to Bernie.substack.com, it is a weekly email newsletter every Friday. Don't miss a show. Don't miss anything I post. You don't even need Facebook to see the videos, to see the shows. They're embedded. They'll play. So it is free. Bernie.substack.com. Takes 20 seconds. You're going to love it. I promise you. All right, let's get to, I'm going to show you first what I posted today that got your attention, and it is our local guys who are never Trumpers. They'll say, no, not never Trumpers. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You guys you didn't even want Ron DeSantis when he ran in 2018. The first time, you wanted Adam Putnam. And when Ron DeSantis and Matt Gaetz came here, and the Republican Executive Committee had them speak just about a week before the election, the primary, you guys weren't even here to greet him. There was like 25 people in the room. And if Donald Trump hadn't endorsed him, he wouldn't have been elected. You guys wanted Adam Putnam, and you did not want Donald Trump. You wanted somebody like Jeb Bush, because you're soft on immigration. And there's a reason that you're soft on immigration. And that's because the local kingpin, the big lawyer who's now also a developer, William Harrison, he's the local kingpin. He was the campaign manager for Sheriff Tommy Ford in 2020 and for Larry Bassford and many others. And he's a big developer, and he pulls the strings right now all over the place. He used to be the St. Joe lobbyist. And what they want to do, and what you keep seeing, is they want to build big apartments, hotels. They want more migrant workers for the St. Joe projects and all of that type of stuff. That's what they want. That's what these multi-use paths are about. It was part of Joe Biden's Pathways Across America. These guys here are Joe Biden type people. They are not Trump people. They're very upset that the money train with the grants and the loans and all that stuff, there's talk that might dry up. So anyway, they are very much for it. And that's why this guy lost the election, by the way, in Panama City Beach. He's outright said it. We need more hotels for migrant workers. And that's why Stuart Tetimer beat him. And he was a big, giant favorite, but he said the quiet part out loud, if you remember. Build back better. These are the build back better people. That's why they want Florida to be a sanctuary state. That's why they voted for this, these two guys, Trumbull and Griff Griffitts. This is what you're seeing all around Bay County because they need the workers for the St. Joe projects. They just don't say it out loud. Okay? So when I posted that today, gosh, it was a big, giant response. Let's see. I mean, it's like the biggest post of the year. You guys are not happy about it. You're really not going to be happy about it when you see right now, when I show you what the Speaker of the House is saying, and then you'll hear Governor Ron DeSantis. But boy, oh my gosh, yeah, you really didn't like that. Let's get right to the Speaker of the House in Florida. He's a young guy. He's a you mad bro type guy. I'm not going to get too much into all that. Let me just show this to you. So this is what he had to say today. And he is really, he's going to get smacked down because they're calling this, oh, here's what it's called. Here, first, let me show you this. This is what he posted on Twitter tonight, on X. Do you see that? That's the new Speaker of the House in Florida who's pushing for this, Daniel Perez. He says Governor DeSantis isn't being honest about the Trump Act. Trump is not going to like this. The governor does not support these harsh penalties, okay? And he says the governor's half measure on illegal immigration is weak. Here's why. He says the Trump Act is the most conservative America First immigration bill in the history of any state. But on X, the readers can check you. They don't have fact checkers like the BS we've had in the past. But the actual readers, they can attach links and show when there's a post that's not true. And boy, the readers added context to this. They said rightfully that the bill weakens Florida's current immigration law by adding new restrictions on local communities and law enforcement agents who want to assist with deportations. Wait till you hear what what DeSantis says today about this bill that Griff Griffitts and Trumbull voted on. I recognize this whole style here, that whole style of that red graphic and how they're lying about the Trump Act and they're saying it's the most conservative. I mean, that, remember, the local kingpins, the local big funders and financiers, they wanted DeSantis over Trump. They are the ones that post stuff here that are so nasty, the Arthur Cullen types. They have the same personality, which is what you're going to see in just a moment with the new Speaker of the House. I recognize this whole stuff here. And they're just outright lying, and they're getting caught bad. All right, let's look at the new Speaker. It's a very short clip of him talking about how this bill is so strong and how DeSantis is wrong. This is crazy. All right, here we go. This is him. Look at him. This guy right here. That's the Florida Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, or as I call him, Ginger. Little Ginger Perez, the Speaker of the House. And he has a personality type exactly like Jeff McConnell, exactly like Adrian Welly, and even Josh Street. Except Josh Street doesn't have the meanness in his eyes that that these guys have. But look at this, man. Watch, listen.
How do you come together? What would you like to see? What do you think is a fair agreement or just a kind of compromise, if you would, with the governor's office? What do you think you can do to better the bill, make it so he will accept it and not veto it down the road if we come to another special session? What do you make? What do you make of that?
I mean, if you notice, the first bill that we filed to the last bill that we filed, we made changes. And we made changes because we were given recommendations on how to make the bill better. And we made it better. We added 12 different components that made this a stronger bill to fight illegal immigration.
No.
We are always open to having the conversation.
Basically, what the bill does is it takes executive power away from Governor DeSantis and gives it to the agriculture department. It also allows judges to catch and release. I posted what it does. It's bad. And they call it the Trump bill. Donald Trump, watch. I predict Donald Trump's going to call Speaker of the House, Ginger Perez, out. I predict it. And feel free to use that nickname if you want, President Trump. All right, listen to this guy lie.
But the governor's office has sent a proposal that they are not willing to have a conversation on. Unless it only includes their proposal, which I believe is less conservative and weaker than the bill that we have passed out of the House. So for us, are we open to having a conversation? Of course, we're always open to having a conversation.
You know, listen, that is such leftist tripe. That is such Jeff McConnell, the former Panama City Beach councilman. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a no, man. What we want is strong immigration laws right now for illegal immigrants. You guys probably don't know this because this goes back to 2013 and 2014. I used to have a syndicated radio show throughout Florida. It's a big deal in 2014. And in 2013, I started to piss off Republicans because after 2012, this is important context. When Mitt Romney lost to Obama in 2012 and Republicans got just walloped, people like Marco Rubio and others got together and they did what was called a postmortem. And the Republican Party, Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush, all these guys, McCain, the local type Republicans, they all decided that what we need to do is have a bigger tent and be softer on illegal immigration. And what Rick Scott did in 2013 was he signed a bill that allowed illegal aliens to have driver's license in Florida and to become lawyers. And I went ballistic. The only person in the entire Florida legislature in the House or Senate that voted against it was Matt Gaetz. All the other Republicans voted for it. Marco Rubio got elected in 2010 to the Senate and immediately joined the Gang of Eight with Schumer. I called it the Gang of Ocho. And Marco Rubio was pushing for a bigger tent, all this kind of stuff. Pathway to citizenship, all this stuff. These are those guys. By the way, that's why Marco Rubio, everybody wanted Marco Rubio in as the, he had no problems getting confirmed. Democrats love Marco Rubio because of that. Hopefully, Rubio's going to do what he's supposed to do now. We'll see. But these are that was the plan in 2012. Well, they were wrong. And now we know what the American people want. So these are kind of holdovers. All right. So let's get back to what he's saying here. So he's saying, let's just have a conversation. We just need a conversation. He says, listen.
Stronger bill to fight illegal immigration. We are always open to having the conversation. But the governor's office has sent a proposal that they are not willing to have a conversation on unless it only includes their proposal, which I believe is less conservative and weaker than the bill that we have passed out of the House. So for us, are we open to having a conversation? Of course, we're always open to having a conversation.
But they're not.
They are not. They are not. It's part of what has gotten us to this point. Part of what has gotten us to this point is the lack of willing to have a conversation between the executive branch and the legislature.
So going back to what I said, this has been ongoing with the governor's office. With that, there's been like some lawmakers say he's been bullying them for years, and then a lot of people have said enough.
No, there has been a lack of communication, is what I'm saying. If in the middle of this interview the governor were to call me, I would answer his call. I'm always open to having the conversation. That's my job. But it is hard. It is hard to see each other's differences when there isn't direct communication. And I'm telling you, I'm always open to having direct communication.
Boy, he reminds me so much of these local guys. So again, this happened on X today. He was saying this same nonsense on X, and if you look at the arrow on the bottom, readers added context to his BS. I can't believe they're calling it the Trump Act. It's unbelievable. The bill weakens Florida's current immigration law by adding new restrictions on local communities and law enforcement agents who want to assist with deportations. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to show you DeSantis. Let's take a look at DeSantis and what he had to say today. It is strong. I've got it all queued up to just the right spot too. So I'm going to play that for you right after this.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
Hand caught in the cookie jar? Sometimes bad habits continue even into adulthood. I'm El Saline, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, right to Governor DeSantis today. Here he is. I'm going to let him tell you why he said his veto pen is ready. Here is what Griff Griffitts, our state representative, and Senator Jay Trumbull voted for yesterday.
But it basically turns Florida into a sanctuary state. It will neuter interior enforcement. They're spending a lot of money on housing illegal aliens. I don't want to house them. I want to deport them. That's what we need to do. That's the mission. So they came out with this.
I realize that the volume is lower than my voice. I wish it was a little louder, but you can hear it. I know you can at least hear it, and I wish it was a little louder, but this is really important.
It is not going to get the job done. And again, I want them to come up with strong proposals, and they can have 100% of the credit, but we are not going to be weak, and we are not going to wilt when it comes to this issue. We've been waiting to finally secure this issue for years and years, long even before Biden. Decades this has been going on. Now we have the momentum. The president has put out the roadmap with strong executive orders. We have to be strong, and we've got to get the job done. And if Florida leads on this and we do something strong, other states are going to follow. Those numbers are going to go up. You're going to have more aliens removed, illegal aliens, every day. You're going to see the red states in particular do it. It's going to be a massive force multiplier. And if you have a weak sauce or you don't do anything, then that's giving license to these other states. Say, hey, Florida's not going to do anything strong. Well, why would we do it? Trust me, people look to the state for leadership on these. So I think it's really important that we're strong. I think it's really important that we honor the promises of the voters who sent us into our offices. There's not a single Republican that ran for office saying they were going to be weak on this issue, because if they did, they would have lost. You all know that. So now's the time to do it. And here's the problem I have with what they've done. I put out a series of proposals. Look, and I say it again, if you can do better than what I did, do it. I don't need any pride of authorship. I don't need any fanfare. I just want to get the job done. But what we propose, there's a number of things. One, we have to end catch and release with illegal aliens that get arrested. So what happens is, maybe someone is driving while intoxicated, they get arrested, they get booked, and the judge just releases them. We want to create a presumption that you don't get bail if you're here illegally. So we have time to then contact immigration authorities, and we can begin the process of getting you the hell out of our country. Very important to end catch and release. The legislature's bill doesn't end catch and release, doesn't do anything to deal with that. So we've seen this time and time again. You get a DUI, you're here illegally, you go in front of a judge, they send you home on bail. You shouldn't be on bail in those situations or other situations, which sometimes are even much more serious. So we need to end catch and release. The legislature's bill that they passed does not do that. I want to stop catch and release, and I want to move to detain and deport. That is the policy that's going to work for the people of Florida. The other thing that you have is So the one thing that they're saying is, and if you watch the debate that the legislature had, because the liberals were like, well, are you going to be deporting people? And then basically the proponents of it were like, oh, no, we're not going to do it. Just if someone's in the jail, then we'll refer them to ICE. Well, obviously, that's like the lowest hanging fruit. Now, it is true we have some jails that aren't participating in some of the federal programs, but I think that's easily resolved. They come to us for funding. I think we can do that. I'm totally fine with that being in here. We would do the same thing, but it's interesting. In our proposal, what we say is if an illegal alien is in jail, one of our jails, and there's an immigration detainer, ICE obviously can come get them and you're going to cooperate. But sometimes ICE doesn't do it. Maybe they're just shorthanded, whatever. We're authorizing the locals or the state to transfer the alien to ICE. The legislature's bill doesn't do that. They just get released if ICE isn't there when the time comes. And look, sometimes ICE in the past, because they're getting directive from on high to not do it, but now they want to do it, right? But they have limited resources. So it may not be where they are always going to be there. Well, I think you take the alien and you bring them there so that they're not released back into our communities. Legislature didn't do that. They didn't authorize the transport to be able to happen. The other thing is this. I said it was a half step forward, 5 steps back. Here's the reason why. We're doing operations now, and it's been much better, obviously, under the Trump administration. I mentioned the Chinese illegals. We did the bust yesterday in Tallahassee with Highway Patrol. I've got Highway Patrol, FDLE. I've got all these agencies that are working together to be able to bring the rule of law back and hold these folks accountable. This bill eliminates all the current operations that we are doing against illegal immigration. It eliminates what FHP is doing. It eliminates FDLE. I have boats by the Keys and by the east coast of Florida, southeast coast, to interdict vessels. Biden had some Coast Guard. Trump has surged more. But you'll have like 30 Haitians coming on a boat, and if you stop them before they get to the shore, they just get turned around by Coast Guard and go back. So we've done that. So all those things would be revoked, and we wouldn't be in the game on any of that stuff. So that's taking steps backwards. And then the worst part about it is they actually strip the governor of immigration enforcement authority entirely, and they transfer it to the Department of Agriculture. Now, why the hell would you do that? People ask, why would you do it? And part of it is, look, agriculture has been a magnet industry for illegal alien labor. It's cheap labor. They do all that stuff. That doesn't mean every farm in Florida is doing it, both family farms, big farms. And I'm not suggesting that everyone is, but we know it does happen. Let's just be honest. And so there is a conflict there as the ag commissioner, because you're going to have constituencies that are not necessarily going to want to have immigration enforcement. So it's a dumb idea just for that purpose. But it's also the case of they don't have the resources. So you're literally putting in this bill that none of our agencies can even discuss immigration with these federal authorities unless the ag commissioner approves that. How is that? What possible justification for that is? And people ask me, and they're like, well, and look, Florida does a good job in crisis management and emergency response. You guys have seen that over the years. We're proud of it. That emanates from my office and these others, all these agencies. We are a well-oiled machine. So if you really wanted to be successful, you would just, beef up authorities for us to keep doing our jobs, right? They're taking that away. Some of it may be petty politics they're trying to play just because they want to pull one over on me. But I think it's more than that. The reason you put it in ag, the reason you bar state agencies from communicating with ICE and Border Patrol is because you don't want to see more deportations. It's because you don't want to see more interior enforcement. That's why they're doing it. It's a feature for them, not a bug that it's not going to work. And that gives the game away. If you were serious about interior enforcement, if you were serious about increasing the number of illegal aliens that get deported out of the state of Florida to help the Trump administration set this record that the president's pledged to, the last thing you would do is send it to the ag commissioner and tie the hands of the very state agencies that have worked successfully on this issue for the last many years. So that gives the game away. And it basically means if we in the state, like if we had evidence of illegal labor or gangs, we'd have to go to the ag commissioner, and if the ag commissioner can veto us following through on it. So it is really bad and effectively makes us a de facto sanctuary state, because
Wow.
all of the enforcement is going to be contingent on this one ag commissioner and whether or not he is going to green light any of these operations. So it makes no sense whatsoever if you actually want to do a good job. It makes perfect sense if your goal is to sabotage enforcement. So you would have, because of that provision, you would have fewer people deported under their bill than you would if we just kept doing things the way we're doing now with the beefed up state involvement. And we're going to announce an MOU, or we're going to do even more down here in Southwest Florida. So that is a head scratcher. Nobody can justify who voted for this bill why you would want to take it away from the governor and give it to the ag commissioner. And look, we had a Democrat ag commissioner a couple years ago. Current ag commissioner has voted for in-state tuition for illegal aliens, driver's licenses for illegal aliens. Me as governor, I've been strong on illegal immigration. You don't got to worry about me. I'm not going to squish on this issue. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get the job done. So just from a practical perspective, it makes no sense. From an organizational perspective, it makes no sense. So that's really, really problematic. Now, another thing they do, President Trump came in, he issued a national emergency for immigration and at the border. We have a state of emergency similar in the state of Florida for illegal immigration. A lot of the things we're doing with Highway Patrol, FDLE, Fish and Wildlife, the maritime operations, flows from that state of emergency. The legislature's bill, which they're trying to, they think you're dumb by calling it the Trump Act. They think you're going to think it's strong. It actually eliminates our state of emergency. So all those operations would cease as a result of that. These operations are working. These operations are doing well. So again, that gives the game away. It'd be one thing if you didn't like the state of emergency, but Trump just did one. And that's unlocking his potential at the federal level. So they do that. Gangs, transnational gangs. We propose very strong ability to hold these gangs accountable. Legislature initially had nothing in there at all about gangs. They have put some in there, not as strong as us, but they have put some stuff in after the outcry. But you got to go after the gangs. Now, you go after the problem at the source with the cartels, and the Trump administration's doing that. They have presidents designated the cartels to be foreign terrorist organizations. I think that's 100% appropriate, and I think they should be treated that way. And so that will make a difference. They're also doing the border fortification. So repelling people who are trying to come, the border crossings are down dramatically just since January 20th, building the wall, all that is very, very important. But here's the thing. You can do all of those things perfectly right. It doesn't 100% solve the problem, because you still have the enticements to come here illegally. And what's the main enticement is illegal employment. People can come from these foreign countries. They can make more money here in the United States than they do back home. And then a lot of times they'll send remittances back to their home country. Now, we do have E-Verify for 25 employees or more. That's been helpful. Media said that our economy was going to crash, and it hasn't, but it has been helpful at combating illegal hiring. Under 25, the legislature didn't police, and obviously, I would say if there is the fraud, that's going to probably be there. In my proposals, we want to strengthen E-Verify to remove the enticement to come illegally. The legislature actually strips E-Verify enforcement from the governor. They weaken it, and they give it to the Commissioner of Agriculture. So if you have illegal labor, you're going to have to go through Ag Commissioner to do it. That should not be the case. And current Ag Commissioner Wilton Simpson, he's opposed E-Verify when he was in the legislature. That's just a fact. And many of these other guys running this bill have opposed E-Verify very significantly, largely because of the businesses. So it weakens E-Verify, and I think it pretty much eliminates, it de facto eliminates E-Verify, because they're taking it out of the governor's executive offices and putting it in to the Ag Commissioner. But the employment is an enticement. The ability to send remittances is also an enticement.
By the way, I need to tell you something about the Florida Agriculture Commissioner. It's Wilton Simpson. Wilton Simpson is a big, big anti-gun guy. He's been. If you give a damn about the Second Amendment, just know that Wilton Simpson used to be the president of the Senate in Florida. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And that's who these guys want to give this power to, take it away from Governor DeSantis when it comes to being tough on illegal immigration, and they want to give it to Wilton Simpson because they're those kind of guys. These are the Jeb Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney guys. Really, Mitt Romney. I won't get into all the relationships between the local kingmaker, William Harrison, and even the former Speaker of the House, who was a good Speaker of the House, Alan Bentz, and his very good friendship with Mitt Romney. And these are the worst kind of Republicans. All right, let's get to the end of DeSantis here.
So we're proposing having an e-verify for remittances. So you want to send a remittance? Okay, you've got to show the wire provider that you have that you're here lawfully. And if you do that, send away. If you don't, we're not going to let you send remittances. That would dry up so much of the enticement almost immediately. You would see really positive differences from that. They didn't include anything about remittances. And I think the reason is they don't want to remove the enticements. That's not something that they're trying to do. I think they want to continue to entice people to come here and work under the table. I think that's a mistake. I think that causes, like, here's the thing, like, you know, some business that wants cheap labor, there's cost imposed on all of us from that. Schools, hospitals, traffic accidents, maybe criminal activity, all these different things. So it's basically a massive subsidy to some of these businesses when you're bringing in people illegally like that. So remove the enticements. We need to do it. The legislature totally dropped the ball on that. Making sure we're holding illegal aliens accountable who try to vote in the state of Florida. We have prosecuted.
This is really big, and I want you to hear this. I think part of this really has to do, Florida has been terrible in allowing people who have second homes here, but are homesteaded in other states. Mayor Mike Thomas and all of these people back in 2017, 2016, 2020, they were all bragging about it, how they vote in both places. And we brought it to the attention of the supervisor of elections, Mark Anderson, at the time. And he actually called other states, and some of Hector Solis's buddies got in some hot water about it. So part of what this is, Governor DeSantis is looking to do is you're going to have to prove it. There's going to have to be some verification for voting. And my hope is that it will affect that as well, because the local Jeb Bush type Republicans, they have a whole list of people who are homesteaded elsewhere that they try to get to vote for their people, to continue this kind of stuff in Bay County, to benefit the St. Joe Company and the big developers.
I did election integrity with the legislature. We created an office of election crimes in the Attorney General's office, or in the State Department. We've prosecuted people that have voted illegally in Florida, and we're proud that we've been aggressive on that. The media hates it. They're like, oh, you can't do that. No, you can. You don't have a right to vote if you're not a U.S. citizen in this state, in this country, and that's the way it should be. But the problem is, you know, if you're here illegally and you vote, and then I find that out, your vote has been counted. There's no way 3 months after the election I can unring the bell. I don't know who you voted for. So the crime.
Hey, notice the guy sitting to Governor DeSantis's left. That's Alvin Vincent. He is U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement guy under Trump. He's taking notes right now. This information is going straight to the president. And I'll tell you what, these idiots These idiots who are posting on X, that's the House Speaker, Danny Perez, posted on X today that Governor DeSantis isn't being honest. And then he calls the bill the Trump Act and says DeSantis is weak. And then he got community checked on X. The bill actually weakens Florida's current immigration law. That is an immigration and customs agent taking notes right now.
Admitted still influences the election. They have not made it a separate crime in Florida to illegally register to vote. You're not allowed to register if you're, quote, unqualified. But when you sign up, you don't have to swear under penalty of perjury that you're a U.S. citizen.
Can you believe that?
We want to make sure everyone has to swear that they're a U.S. citizen. And then if they swear and they register, and it's not even just the illegals. If you're a legal foreigner here, you're not eligible to vote. If you're a foreigner, then we can hold you accountable before the election. We can hold you accountable for falsely registering. And so those penalties we have are strong. The legislature did not see fit to do the strong penalties.
They don't want that. These guys do not want that. That's crazy.
For illegally registering to vote, and they had an opportunity to do that. But I think that that's something that's really, really important. Now, probably the linchpin of this, if it's going to be successful, and if the president's mandate is going to be fulfilled, is you have to require state and local law enforcement to cooperate affirmatively with federal immigration authorities. Not just not be a sanctuary. I mean, we know California is a sanctuary state. They're going to try to sabotage everything the Trump administration does. Chicago, sanctuary city. They're going to try to sabotage. We're not a sanctuary state. Well, at least, as long as this bill doesn't ever pass, we won't be. If it passes, we're de facto sanctuary state. But we're not. We don't have sanctuary cities, or they're not allowed. But there's a difference between, okay, you can't actively sabotage, but can you just sit on your hands and do nothing?
Yep.
That's what most law enforcement agencies throughout the country do. They don't do very much. The legislature said, well, if you're in a jail, then we'll get involved and help out. Yeah, that's like the bare minimum. So we're imposing an obligation on these police departments, sheriff's departments, to participate in these enforcement efforts. So, for example, Highway Patrol, I've already ordered this, so we don't need the legislation, but we're going to include it in there. They pull somebody over for drunk driving. They're here illegally. They have a duty to pursue the immigration infraction too, and to alert ICE and to do whatever needs to be done to be able to hold accountable. When you do that, you are going to prevent. I mean, if an illegal's driving drunk and gets pulled over and doesn't hit anybody, the chance that they will never drive drunk again is not high. That's not unique to illegals, right? It's like when people get in that type of behavior, sometimes it's only a matter of time before they ever end up killing someone. So if you get it at the start and remove, man, you're great. So we are going to have that. We're also, like, if a local police officer is responding to like an apartment complex, domestic violence, but then he sees in one of the other apartment buildings illegal gang members, he's got to say, you know what, they're here illegally. You don't have to wait for them to commit a serious felony. I want to get them out of here before they're committing the felonies. I don't want to have victims in the state of Florida. And so you got to do.
All right, that's enough. I mean, I wanted you to see, and I played earlier, before DeSantis, I played the new speaker, Danny Perez. I played his little clip, and you can see the way he just wants to have a conversation. I want a conversation. We just want a conversation. No, you want to strip Governor DeSantis of his authority to exercise and execute the tougher immigration laws for illegal aliens, and you want to give it to the Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson, who is a Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush, John McCain type Republican, who's, by the way, terrible on gun rights. Wilton Simpson is the Agriculture Commissioner that these guys right here want to strip Governor DeSantis and give it to this Wilton Simpson Agriculture Commissioner. A garbage garbage Republican. All right. I thought you should know that tonight. Tomorrow, I've got something to show you about Mexico Beach. I've already shown you the craziest stuff about Mexico Beach and the FEMA money. Nearly half of $100 million they gave to one guy who had like 4 companies for debris pickup and disposal. I already showed you the craziest part. But when you see what they're doing even today, you're absolutely not going to believe it. Thank you to those of you who support my efforts, whether it is on patreon.com/Bernie Thompson, by donating, throwing a tip in the tip jar as little as $5 a month. It's anonymous, it's easy, and you can quit anytime. Or those of you who make a donation, because crowdfunding is where it's at. As you know, corporatist media and the CNN affiliate WMBB is going to be posting CNN affiliate stories about this. So if you wonder why Tom Huey Lewis on the news and the rest of the local PR firms that act like, that masquerade as local news, if you wonder why they're not telling the story, because they're CNN affiliates and they are beholden to the local Griff Griffitts, J. Trumbull type Republicans. That's why. So thank you to those of you who support my efforts like the Unknown Patriot. I am so grateful, and I'll have much more for you